Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and as we wrap up 2022, typically 2 to 3 times a year I go over what's on my iPhone, and as many of you requested, here's the late 2022 or holiday edition of what's on my iPhone. Now we'll start with the main page, and there's not really a whole lot that's changed here. I'll point out the things that have. Most of the changes are on the second page. One thing you may have already noticed in many of my videos is that I use an app called Craft. This has taken the place of Apple Notes for me, in that it seems to be more organized and I can sort of organize things a little bit better. If we go into Craft, you'll see here's all of my different documents organized into different folders, such as iOS 16.3, new ideas, the podcast, different things such as shorts and more. And so if we go into late December videos, you'll see here's what's on my iPhone, late 2022. I don't really have a whole lot of notes in that one, but if maybe we go to iOS 16.3, and when iOS 16.3 Beta 1 came out, here's what my What's New video notes look like. So you can see different features, what's new, other things that have been released alongside that. And it's just a little bit more organized for me. It syncs across Mac and iPad, and it is a paid app if you want certain features, but for the most part, you can use it pretty much free, but if you want pro features, you pay for it. So I really like the app. Since they're focused on one app, I tend to think they'll do notes better overall. The other thing you may have already noticed that's a little bit different is I have Discord here instead of sort of a folder with a bunch of different social media in it, and I also have podcasts. Now I do have a Discord server and Telegram server linked in the description, and then also I use podcasts now from Apple instead of using maybe a third-party app. I've been trying this out. It's actually been a pretty good experience overall. So just different podcasts that I listen to, I've been using that app instead of some others, but there's some other great ones out there. If we move over to page 2, you'll see this is where I have sort of random apps and things that I've been using. And as you can see here, typical things such as Geekbench that I use in many different videos, as well as many different stock Apple apps, such as Notes, Freeform, which I don't really use Freeform at all. It's a nice idea, but I don't really have a use for it personally. Amazon, the feedback app if you're on a beta, and then iBeta, which is a really helpful tool. This is a free one, and I'll link all of these different apps in the description so you can just jump to them if you want to try them out. But this just tells you the latest released betas or different updates. So you'll see them here with their different build numbers. So iPadOS 16.2 gives the release date and what the build number is. If we go to beta, you can see the same thing of the current betas. And then we can scroll down and see all of the different ones currently. It's a free app, so again, I'll link it in the description. Then I have my church folder. That's been on my phone for years. I also have a Rivian folder. Was thinking about getting a Rivian. It's an electric pickup truck, just kind of was interested in it, so I have the app there. And then I have Facades. Facades is a really nice app that shows everything about all of the current Apple stores. So I've mentioned this one in the past, but if you want to check it out, again, it's free. You've got different locations, how many there are in the United States for Apple stores, and it's sort of a tourist guide to Apple stores. So if we go into the United States, pick a state, and we'll just pick Apple Millennia. You can see the location, you can see what it looks like, go to the website, copy info, and just have more information about it, or even get directions to it. And so it's a pretty simple app, but I think it's really helpful, especially maybe if you're in a different country or you just want to see what's around. I also have a social networking folder here where I have WhatsApp, also Apollo, Signal, and Vero. Vero is sort of a photo app that is what Instagram used to be. It's a really nice app that way. And if we go into it, wait for it to load here. I am on here. I haven't really posted a whole lot, but you can see it has a really nice layout. You'll see different people you're probably familiar with on Twitter and different places as well. And they all have some really nice photos there. And they just look great overall. Of course, other apps that I have here, Google Keep for Notes, so I do use that on the Android side, and that syncs with Notes, but I don't use it a whole lot. One thing I forgot to point out is Mastodon. Mastodon is sort of an alternative to what we have with Twitter. A lot of people have been moving there, and so I have a Mastodon account. It's just Zollotech, and it's linked in the description. So if you want to check it out there, you can go there. If you're not on Twitter, I'm using all of them currently, but I'm there as well. And if we go to the third page, you'll see that we have Hive. Hive is, again, another version or alternative to Twitter. I think if any of them pick up steam, it'll probably be Mastodon the most, since it seems like most effort's being pushed there, and it's an open source platform. But then I have T-Mobile Internet. I was trying their home internet, and then Camera Plus. So if I want to take a little bit more advanced photos, have more control over the camera overall, you can do that with Camera Plus. So if we go in and maybe go to a macro shot, you'll see here, you can just quickly switch in between different parts of the camera, portrait modes and more. And it's actually showing you what it's outlining a little bit better than what maybe the regular stock app would do. There's a lot more things in here too. You can completely control raw photos, you can completely control exposure and everything else. So you've got full control over the camera, and it's a really nice app. There is a paid version of Camera Plus where if you want all of the features, you'd have to pay for it. The other app here is Flighty. Now I keep this on here in case I'm flying, but also if we go into Flighty, this is probably one of the best uses of live activities that we have on iOS 16. If we just pick a random flight, it is a paid app if you want more information, but it shows you what it can do this way. So if I swipe home, it goes into the dynamic island, press and hold. It gives more information about where it's departing in, and you can see all of that information on your lock screen as well. So if we scroll down here, you can see your pass information. So when I'm traveling next time, I'll have this information here. We'll allow it, and it will even count down the flight time as it's in flight and much more after it's departed. So it's really great, and it's one of the best uses of Dynamic Island and also the live activities feature. Now I do have a bunch of other apps as well, and I was going to use a different lock screen. Some people said that they liked this one for sort of the Christmas holiday theme. Others said they liked this one. I'll be using them in different videos, of course, but just wondered what you thought of sort of the holiday themed wallpapers. A lot of people asked me to have Christmas wallpapers and more. Now I do have a lot of other different apps that I have that just aren't on the main screen, and I typically end up searching for them. So I'll just pull down, search for the app I want, whether it's FedEx or something else, and then I'll search for that specific app. So if we go into the app library, you'll see I have an awful lot when it comes to different apps. So everything from different authenticator apps to the Apple Store, of course. And before you fly, so if you have a drone and you want to fly that, you should check that first to make sure that there's nothing around, that you should be in the airspace. That's a great app for that. And then there's some investment apps, things like that, and camera apps, some games, although I don't really play many games on my iPhone. I typically play those games on maybe an iPad. I like the larger screen. Apple's Clips app, although I can't say that I've honestly used that very often. And as we scroll down, Contacts, Craft, like I mentioned before, that's probably the biggest change I've made in the past few months. And if we keep going, let me see if there's any others that I use regularly. So if we go down, I do use lights in the background of many of my videos from LifeX, so that's something that I have an app for. I can show you that quickly, that I also search for all of the time. It's right here. This controls the desktop light strip that you see in the back of many of my thumbnails. So if I turn this on, we go to palette, I can completely customize this. If I want to customize half of it or part of it, put different colors in it, you can do that, and that's what it looks like on the back of my desk. So if I switch to a camera mode here, just so you can see, you'll see that's what it looks like. I just customized it, and for a better look, there we go. It looks like that in the background. So you've got that light strip behind the desk, and that's what controls it. It's just a LifeX light strip rather, that I use all of the time. So any color you want, it's fully customizable. You can just turn it on or off, adjust it intensity and more. And they do make other accessories. I've used them for many years and people have been asking. So again, I'll link those in the description what I'm using there. Again, if we go back to the app library, continue to scroll down, we'll go down to, oh, let's keep going. You'll see FLIR 1. That's something that you can see the thermal camera with that I show in many of the videos, that shows the background, shows what the actual temperatures are and more. And I don't know that I have much more as far as interesting things on this phone. So typical apps, some money management apps, Nintendo Switch Online, just your typical things. Plug Share, that's if you want to find electrical vehicle charging stations. So I do use that from time to time. I do have a Tesla that I drive for my main phone, or main car rather, and you'll see here's a charging station in Sodus Point, New York, and it just shows what it is. So it's great to have a lot of information there. Now back in the library, let's just scroll down to the bottom, see what we've got. Xbox and things like that. Not really anything terribly exciting here, but one thing I did want to share is an app that I have in testing called Old OS. This allows you to see the OS unlock, and you can see your different apps. You can go into these and use it, although like I said, it's a test app. But if we go into iPod, you can see if we go into artist here, maybe we'll just pick Alanis Morissette. It's the Prince of Persia theme, and it looks just like it used to. You can even play it. Let me turn it down here. You can play it and then rotate to landscape, and you have your album. Although, there we go. I knew cover flow worked, but it is a little bit choppy. So you can see there, you've got full cover flow. Press the home button and you go home. This is a great way to see what the OS used to look like with iOS 6, and even the camera works. So if you allow access to it, every time I update it, I have to continue to give permission to it. But you can see there's the old camera and what it used to look like. So if you want to snap a photo, it works, and it works just like you'd expect. So that's everything as far as what's on my iPhone. Old OS, I found the person on Twitter and they let me have access to it. I would love to see it in the main app store though. And so that's everything with what's on my iPhone for the late 2022 or holiday edition. If there's any other videos you'd like to see this year before the end of the year or early next year, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Of course, I'll link this wallpaper in the description. I think it looks great. Let me clear these out so you can see it a little bit better. We'll clear this out here. And there we go. So that gives you a better idea what the wallpaper is. It also looks pretty good when it's blurred. So if we customize it, go here and blur this on the lock screen and home screen. So you have that on the lock screen, that on the home screen. So I think it looks pretty good overall. Either way, if you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.